It's so cool. And so your syllable, the creativity part in the fiction, is it just in the book literature, or is it going to be in film too? I'm just curious.
So that is the goal. I guess that is the direction in the next 10, 15 years, is to really connect some of the worlds and the creators that are working on creating these fictional worlds to multimedia. Whether we started with textual, which is, I feel like that's the most things writers are most closely connected to, but it's like, how can we weave in naturally visual artists as well as filmographers or even audio engineers,
Right.
or even software engineers? Like, how can we even bring an entire immersive experience for people? And I know you want to say something. I feel like what you said was so much to unpack around the idea that people are afraid to change.
Yes.
And I think that's so true. I feel like, yeah, I have so much to say about that, but I feel like you have a question now.
So that's okay. I was just wondering about the stuff you're talking about. It sounds like it would be roll into the metaverse or the meta. It's kind of what you were describing, to be in different locations. And I think people are afraid to change too, they like the status quo. And that's not how life has never been that way.
Never.
And it's fear, and people just need to realize we're only here for a certain amount of time. I know that sounds terrible, but that's what my stepfather always reminded me of, right? Mm-hmm. And at the time, I probably was a brat when I first met him, but I was a 16-year-old girl, and but I look back on that now, and like he was patient, and that's what we need more of, people like that. And I think what you're doing is helping people embrace that creativity, some shape or form, the artistry. I did not realize, how until COVID, how not distracted, but we are disconnecting. And I think your syllable thing is a good thing. And that's my praise, guys, for what Fabrice is doing. So we can jump on and talk about why you think people are afraid of change. I'm good to hear that if you want.
Absolutely. I think and also to respond, I think in terms of, I'll respond to do things the metaverse. I think, the metaverse idea started with this science fiction novel by, I think, Neil Stephenson, called Snow Crash, I believe. And I think a lot of people have been aware of the metaverse before it became really popular. And I even about Syllable in terms of creating science fiction and fantasy to get people connected and processes. And also to go into the idea that people are afraid of change. I don't know. I think it's all about dogma. It's really, I would love to even hear your perspectives. Like, what is dogma? Like, why does it form? Is it a sense of safety? Is it a sense of identity, or is it a sense of comfort? And
I think it's a little bit of people are afraid, and it gives them some safety and gives them some walls. I shouldn't say walls, but and people, I'm very fortunate to my personality. I'm not afraid of change. I guess because I'm a military brat, you can imagine all the chaos that I had growing up, right? And that helped set my my perspective on life, where I have friends who've lived in the same, I went to high school with, they've never even left. And I couldn't wait to get the hell out of there when I graduated high school. But that's just my you know what I'm saying? And I like adventure, and that's because it just depends on your environment, how you're raised. I think that's part of it. But I was also at the same time, because I was a girl, I was, there's stuff like that. I'm very competitive, probably because I had an older brother. I was told I was too nice and I wouldn't be successful. I'll show you, in my mind, but that's probably, I was the middle child. Middle children are probably more competitive than others.
Middle child as well.
Right. I'm the middle child, had an older brother, and we were, raised around the military. So that, I think, but I like I said, my mom was a good role model too. She wasn't from, it's kind of hard to explain. She was actually was born in Vietnam, even though her father's French. It's just kind of, she's used to that kind of change too. So I think dogma is based on your environment. People probably probably think I'm crazy I don't have a lot of fear in
Mm,
certain things. I mean, I think it through, I don't react, you know what I'm trying to say? But I try to have a plan majority of the time. And the reason I got to kind of Fabrice's idea, like the science fiction stuff, I actually helped. One of the storylines was the kids in our book were embedded with some chips that could be
yeah.
controlled.
It was
Right,
about the metaverse in a way too.
right. And it was
Before
right.
the metaverse was like popular.
Right. And it was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And it got me just to think differently because I was my dogma, I had to write a certain way because I'm from the corporate world, right?
Mm,
And so it's like a little bubble and you don't want to offend anybody, right? So I try not to be offensive to people, but I'm very polite when I give my opinion to people. And I think the dogma again question, it goes around how you're raised and the environment that you're in. If that makes
absolutely.
sense.
Yeah, I think you're definitely right. And I think for me, like it's almost as if there's almost a fear amongst the dogma because it's like I'm realizing that who am I to ask people to change? Because it's like if someone is older or even something horrible has happened to that person and then now they perceive this experience based on personal experiences, or maybe they studied something so heartedly and the entire cultural stream says this is the way things have been. And it's like people that becomes part of people's identity. And then when that change happens, it's almost as if it's extremely painful and it's not someone could claim it's not fair or it's not my right to say it's changed. But my fear is that I feel like to this sort of, it's almost as if what you were saying in the beginning where people are like, you need to slow down, but you're like, why am I going to slow down? Because it's like, I have this excitement, this passion, and I want to learn, I want to grow. And I feel like this excitement and this passion, yes, despite like economic or social or political like disenfranchisement or lack of access, I feel like people will, I think in order to save society, I think change is going to need to be at the core of humanity.
Or normal,
Like,
right? In a way.
yeah, it needs to be normalized, this idea of change. And it's like, yeah, people used to work in a company for 50 years. Now, like half of the, like, I don't know if you're from the boomer era, but like a lot of the people,
I'm an Xer.